I'm here at what I consider a motorcycling institution I've wanted to come for years. Now last night I took a really long drive up from Kent to a small town in Yorkshire called Batley. And there's only one name that's famous from Batley, and that's Padgetts. This original shop that Peter Padgett opened in 1974 at the time was the biggest motorcycle dealership in the world. Now, for 7 whole decades, the Padgetts have been synonymous with motorcycles and motorcycle racing. The list of superstars that have ridden for them over the years just goes on and on and on. And their successes, from everything from 500 Grand Prix to TTs to 250s to British Championships, the list just goes on and on and on. I'm Shakey Byrne. This is the Late Break Show, episode 7 of the Byrne Out, proudly supported by EBC Brakes. Right then, in we go. Clive Padgett.
Hey,
do you know what? It's an absolute pleasure to come here and see you. This is it. This is where it all started.
That's
Padgetts,
right.
Padgetts Motorcycles. I know, multi-franchise dealer now. This is the original building, but this is the Yamaha dealership now. There's more.
Right.
There's other buildings, right?
There are, Shakey. We'll take you down to the Suzuki and Kawasaki and Honda dealerships. But my dad built this in 1974, which at that point, it was the biggest Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, purpose-built building in the whole world. People were working from corner shops and so on still. And I remember us running home from school. My mum would be painting the floor grey, and we'd be running home, and my brother Gary and Alan, we'd be tamping out in the concrete outside, getting it prepped, because my dad originally started back in 1958. Up in the top of Batley and rented some premises, borrowed £270, took a lot of gambles as you do in business, and hey presto, here we are.
I've known about the Padgetts, obviously. I'm so keen to come here and have a look around because, you know, you and I share like a passion for motorcycling and motorcycle racing, right? And it was actually interviewing you on my normal job with Eurosport when you just won the British Superstock Championship this year with Davey Todd.
Lovely.
Seeing the generations of Padgett all stood there, all celebrating together. I called Jonny and I was like, do you know what? I've got what I think is going to be a fantastic feature. I know how passionate you are about it. I know how passionate I am about it. And I'm just really looking forward to having a look around.
And it's come through the generations. You know, there are now, as you say, 4 generations. Mum and dad, myself, my brother, my sister, our children, and then on to the grandkids. Who knows what the grandkids will choose as a career. But right now, the girls are running the show, Helen and Fiona, and with the help of some fantastic, I'm going to call them staff, but family that work here, they've become part of our family. It's quite incredible. You know, Joanne's been here 40 odd years. It's quite something, and Jamie's 20 years, and Brian's 23 years. It's a lovely atmosphere. Yeah. So, no, take a look around.
Well, obviously, as I said, this is the Yamaha bit. Full of Yamahas, as we can see. Pretty much every model. It looks to me like Yamaha makers around in here. From a Yamaha point of view, you must have a favourite model at the moment. I mean, look at them all. What does it for you?
What does it for me? Well, I'm probably looking through rose-tinted glasses, but for me, absolutely, an iconic motorbike or motorcycle would be a TZ 750 from the mid and late 70s. What an absolute missile.
When you look around now, you look at all these different models, but how do you have just one? Because there's so many different things of motorcycling, like different sport. I mean, look at you guys with your racing. You know, you don't just do short circuits, you do TTs. You need completely different bikes, everything's different. You couldn't just have that if you wanted to go and do a track day, and you couldn't have that if you wanted to go this, and you couldn't have, you know what I mean?
That's right, and we're seeing that so much now. Many customers have got 3, 4, and even, you know, one customer I can think of, he's got 30 odd motorcycles. And why? Oh, well, I've got my trials bike, I've got my motocross bike, I've got my enduro bike, I've got my track day bike, I've got my adventure bike, I've got my sports bike, and the list goes on. But that again is the same passion that you and I have got. You know, I think again when Dad started the business, it was all about go to work transport and Mum and Dad having a sidecar and the kids in the side and so on. But that's transferred now, and of course there's a segment of people that go to work on motorcycles, but the majority, it's a fun thing. You know, either a fishing rod, a caravan, a camper, whatever. Many people have a motorcycle. Yeah.
What about for you then? This passion, this drive, this thing with motorcycling in general, is it motorcycling or is it the racing? Because for me, Padgetts is synonymous with racing. It's the success that you've had, the superstars that have ridden for you guys. I mean, you yourself were a bit of a doer back in the day. I mean, what is it?
I don't know. It's hard to answer. I just remember, you know, we were at home a couple of Christmases ago, Mum and Dad's house home, and found some old school books there that were, you know, rather like, boom, 6 and 7 years old. I want to ride motorcycles. I want to be a motorcycle racer. And that's quite something when you've got that back then, and then the old scrapbooks and so on like we did in the day. But that I actually remember writing that and drawing pictures of, you know, bikes. So I think it must have always been there. It's not being thrown at me, indoctrinated in me. Sure, my dad and Uncle Don did it and very successful. But I think I didn't lead, they did, and I'm so proud of what they achieved. But from being this old, it's all I've ever wanted to do.
Do you know what the really, really strange thing about that, and the nice thing about that is, my mum still has school books from mine. Yeah, I was adopted. This isn't about me. This is about you guys and your racing. But I have a school book at home that says, from like one of the earliest days I can remember, you know, when you change class and you go up and the teacher wants to know your name, where you're from, what your hobbies are, and what you want to be when you grow up. Mine's exactly the same. All I ever wanted to be was a motorbike racer.
That's why we're here today.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Right, so as I said, Clive's just wandered off, right? This is the original building. This is where Padgetts actually started, right? Clive's dad built this place. This was the original, as I said. It's now a Yamaha dealership. Let's have a little wander around because he's just over there talking anyway. But obviously, as you can see, you've got all the Yamaha scooters over there. T-Max at the back. I actually had a T-Max once down in Spain. Three-wheeler there. Sort of learner legal 125s and 300s over there in the background. You can see the white and red ones. Very much a family-run business, as you can see from a little generation of Padgett running around. Upright naked bikes, the MT10s, the MT09s, I think, as well. MT09 SP, it's quite a nice one. A few race bikes over here. This is a special thing, actually. These were made. I can't remember how many of them there are. There's a limited number of those, and they were made by Yamaha, Yamaha's racing department as a special one-off thing. I can't remember how many there were, but they're a pretty rare thing. Off-roading bikes. That's Yamaha's Tenere. I think they're like a 700cc thing. As you can see, it comes in a few different colours. They've got all of those over there. Don't know where to look next. Oh, we've got some old race bikes over there. What else have we got? Right, it looks to me like now we're at the second-hand part. So all the used bikes that they have from a Yamaha point of view, and other manufacturers to be fair, are based in here. At a quick glance, just seen a 98 R1 over there. That's something I actually want in my collection, but I want a blue one. What else have we got? All sorts of things. MT10. Looks like an SP one. Tell you what I did notice, a YZF 750. Brand spanking new by all accounts, from 1993, so that's quite a special thing. Come this way, come and have a little look. TT winning bikes, TT winning reefs, TT shirts, TT pit boards. The history in this place is just off the scale. Their success in racing is just phenomenal. As I said earlier on, 7 decades they've been winning at all sorts of levels of racing, from the very, very top right the way through to club racing. You know, they help a lot of people. So let's go and find Clive and see if we can look at some race bikes. Right, I just saw Clive wander off into the workshop, so I'm going to chase him down. This is basically where they prepare all like the track day bikes and some of the road bikes and stuff like that. So we're not actually in the race workshop yet. However, you will notice a 1976 TZ250 there. That thing looks absolutely immaculate. Just look down the back there. There's a Honda RS500 Grand Prix bike, triple cylinder Grand Prix bike. I don't know where Clive's gone. These are some of the race bikes. I believe this one's off to British Super Sport. There's some track day bikes around. Let's go and find Clive and see what else we've got going on in Clive.
Yo!
In your domain, in the workshop, what's going on here?
That's a customer's track day bike actually. Got a man called Chris Lee that Jamie's just putting him an engine in. We do service and prep a lot of track day bikes. That's one for BSB Super Sport next year. That's another one, BSB Super Sport next year. The blue one's for track days. But this is the main workshop for day-to-day prep and servicing. Jamie's been with us 20 years. We got Jason there, and then we wander through here and
look.
Oh wow!
Look,
yep.
That looks pretty special.
RG, a little bit before your time, buddy, but RG 500, 1977. Very similar type of thing that Barry was winning the World Championship on back in the day.
Yeah.
But that's the customer version. Barry's had a few tweaks, but at the end of the day, he braked later, lent it over further, and won more races.
Got the throttle on earlier, yeah.
Got the throttle on earlier.
Yeah.
But a beautiful piece of kit. That, as we said earlier, it's like owning Mears bike now. You know, it's you could never comprehend owning a current MotoGP bike, could you?
No.
But there we have.
Most people couldn't. You probably can.
But yeah, a Grand Prix bike of the era.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
What about your race bikes then? Come on,
then,
show us some bikes.
Yeah, there's a few famous motorcycles in here.
Do you know what? They told me about your place, right? They said, when you come, it's like in Aladdin's cave. Behind every door, you're going to find more bikes. And yeah, we just found some race bikes.
Yeah, we got John's TT winning bike of 212 over there. You take a look, and behind you there's Davey Todd's super bike that did an awful lot of winning on this year. The Southern 100 3 wins, our Moy 2 wins. Quite incredible. And then you move around again, and there's the championship winning super stock bike. You look over here, and gosh, we've got Connor's bike. As we all know, Connor's such a huge guy, you can easily spot Connor's bike with the thick seat pads, the bump stop on the back, the footrest are down and back, his handlebars are forward.
And that's a big way forward, isn't it?
That's Connor's 6'4".
Yeah.
And he actually became the fastest Honda rider ever around the Isle of Man back in June on that bike.
On this very one?
On that very bike, 133.116. So it's a special motorcycle in its own right.
You can see the depth of the seat pad, can't you? Like how high it is, and obviously spreads him out a little bit, sort of thing.
That's right. Well, traditionally, you know, for ourselves, Shakey, normally a good height, footrest to seat height would be around 17.5, but with Connor's big tall legs, you know, we move him upwards, we move him back. This extra little bump stop on the rear there is to save him sliding off the back under acceleration. The bars are moved forward to distribute the weight more evenly. Yeah. Connor's actually in love with that motorcycle. You know, he's going to have a new one for next year for the stocker class, but he really does like that one.
Do you know what? I spoke to John McGuinness yesterday, and I said, I'm going up to see Clive, and I'm going to go see the Padgetts. He says, oh, you'll love it. He says, they've got absolutely everything there. He says, there's not a laptop in sight. He said, because everything he needs to know is in Clive's head. You tell me, oh yeah, a normal seat height's like 17 to 17.5 inches. How would you even know that? That's pretty incredible. What else have we got? 250.
Wow.
250.
Now we're talking proper motorbikes.
Two strokes.
That's the bike that Bruce did the only ever 120 mile an hour lap around the Isle of Man TT circuit on back in 2017 at the Classic TT. And prior to that, John was the fastest around there at 118. So quite something that, you know, Bruce was able to go around at that speed, and then he came back in 2019 after 2 years off, as many people out there are aware. And for me, it's the most emotional win that we've ever had. Bruce came back from cancer to win the race by 62 seconds. Bless his heart, from Davey actually. Davey finished second, but appreciate Davey's not, you know, hasn't got the laps in around the island just as well as Bruce has yet. But quite something. In fact, I believe, here we go. To my Padgetts family, love you, smiley face, Bruce, NZ.
I love the fact it's still got all the flies on the front of the screen and everything.
100%. No, it's fully authentic. But what a motorbike, Shakey, as you say. And unfortunately, you know, you're in love with them. You told me you want to see the YZR 500 and so on. You missed that era probably, I think, of riding full-on race bikes that you took out of a crate and it worked. Whereas everything we all race right now it still comes with an ignition key,
Yeah.
and we make it into a race bike.
Yeah.
But no, I'm also very passionate about that. It gave a lot of people opportunity. From the first production Yamahas back in the early 60s even, that my dad started to ride and sell, it gave people, the working man, an opportunity to buy a motorcycle from a dealership, go away and race it.
Yeah.
And the RS125, RS250s, the TZ250s, they gave you that opportunity to spend your hard-earned wages and go motorbike racing.
Obviously you won the British Superstock Championship this year with Davey, and a load of road races with Davey. You've promoted him, and you're stepping up again yourselves into Superbike. You've done that one-off round, didn't you, at the end
We did, at the
this
final
year.
round.
How much are you looking forward to being back in Superbike?
Well, the final round was to dip our toe in the water, and it wasn't just to give Davey a shot at it, but it was to let the team see, hang on a minute, it's a 3-race format. We have practice at that time of day, there's practice at this time of day. Oops, hang on a minute, have we got enough wheels for the rear? Do we have enough front wheels? Do the tyre warmers fit the Superbike wheel that they did fit the stocker? It was a learning curve for us all. And quite honestly, we're going Superbike racing for Davey. There were many teams approached Davey, obviously spotted his success this year. I think we'd recognised his talents some time ago.
Yep.
But it really came to fruition this year. And the guy's box office, I think Stuart said that to me, Stuart Higgs, his box office, he comes across well, he's good looking, he's got the brolly girls, he's got the hats. And really, you know, if we can help him on that trajectory, quite something. And the natural step, you know, he said he wanted to stay with the team. We've got a lovely bond. The whole thing, the vibe works, the team, you know, bouncing off each other in the garage. So in fairness, I just love racing full stop. I'll race at Cadwell Club meeting through to a Grand Prix. It really doesn't matter, it's a paddock.
Yeah.
But we're going Superbike racing to hopefully continue the, you know, the right way forward for Davey in his career. And quite honestly, the best thing that could happen is that some World Superbike team rings up and says, come on, jump on our motorbike, you've been there. And it's the ultimate, I think, for anybody's aspiration. Let's see what happens.
Right, so we've had a look at a load of different race bikes, 600s, super bikes, TT winning bikes, 250s, beautiful 250s at that. A big box, God knows what's in that, but come and show us where the
I'll tell you
horsepower
what's in
comes
that
from.
big box. That's Davey's Superbike for next year. That's the new Honda frame to build his bike. Yep.
You're kidding?
No, absolutely not. That's in there.
You've seen it here first, right? Davey
100%.
Todd's BSB bike is in that box. Obviously
There we go.
there's a few more components.
CBR 1000 RR, new frame to start and build the bike, and the engines in here are one of the motors.
All right, okay, so this is where the magic happens.
Yeah, this is our...
Shall I get my Dremel out and see if I can... better not
Shakey,
peek
you're
in
very
there.
welcome, but...
I've not got a clue, you wouldn't want me fiddling with them.
This is our engine room where, you know, the engines are assembled.
Yeah.
That's the bottom end for a new Superbike. New cases, new crank, you know, where the timing discs and so on. All of the equipment lives in this lovely little room. No telephone, radio 2, and very, very lucky to have a bunch of friends that work with me and have done for a long time, you know. We always used to say a bunch of mates going racing, and Hutchie didn't like that. Ian, bless your heart, Ian. He'd all say, no, we're better than that. And we're a professional bunch of mates going racing. But it's lovely. All of our team, every single team member have raced motorcycles around a track. And that...
Really?
Yeah, is quite something. When we were at the TT this last year, 5 of the team members had all raced the Isle of Man track, either at the TT themselves or the Manx Grand Prix. Now, there isn't another team in the paddock, I think, that understands when you wake up on race day morning and you don't want to eat your breakfast and you know, you're feeling sick.
Yeah.
We're the same boat, you know. People have said to me, well, when you might you pack in, Klaus? I will know the day. And how will you know? So I won't wake up nervous. I will eat some breakfast, because I normally do it. I'm feeling like you do. Bloody hell, you know. And if that feeling ever goes away, then it will be time to stop. But it's not going away anytime soon.
It's incredible. How hands-on are you with the builds of the superbikes and stuff now? Do you get involved with your own engine builder, or how does it work now?
We work as a team.
Yep.
Yeah, we discuss things. Look, let's do this camshaft design. Hang on, we're going to try this on a cylinder head. I think I showed you in the dirty room many of the things that we've tried that didn't work, because not everything does. You'll be successful sometimes with, oh gosh, we found 2 horsepower, but we lost 4 at the bottom. So it's all a balance, as you know, finding a motorcycle that can lap the track very quickly. But very, very fortunately, the friends, I call them friends, and they really, really are friends. They were friends before they ever came to work with us in the team. We've got such a good fit, and all of our team, Chris won't like this, Chris is only 35, but most of the team are around my age, and there's one thing that gets better with age is your experience and your knowledge. If you look in a MotoGP garage now, you look in an F1 garage, you look in World Superbike, it's not kids running around any longer, is it? And bless your hearts, kids, we need children to come through and learn. But most of it are older people that have got the experience trying to make that motorcycle go around the track quicker.
Right, this, by all accounts, is the RCV room. Why RCV? Well, Padgett's obviously built an RCV 213V for Bruce Anstey to ride at the Isle of Man TT. Now, the RCV 213V is basically a MotoGP bike for the road. We saw one in a previous episode. I dare say we'll get to see another one later on, because we've only been at one shop so far. That right there, the last person to ride that bike was Jeremy McWilliams. The first person to ride that bike, Wayne Rainey. Yep, 3 times 500cc world champion. So that is a weapon. Look down there, 2 spare engines. 500cc Grand Prix engines, 2 spare engines for Bruce Anstey's 500. Now, I know where that is because I've just seen it lurking down there. Let's go and have a quick look at that. I found this lurking. Let's put the torch on. Look at that. That is Bruce Anstey's YZR 500 Grand Prix bike that he rode around the TT. We've got to come back one day and dig that thing out and get it fired up. That is special. Right, I told you before that Padgetts really is a family affair. This is Fiona, Clive's daughter. Fiona, I've known you since you were about that big, and I remember you at BSB races bringing me curly whirlies all the time. So we've known each other a long time. I know that you done super well at college, didn't you? Really, really intelligent young lady. What about motorcycling and motorcycle racing is it that made you want to, continue the legacy of the Padgetts?
We just wanted to carry it being a family-run business. I love obviously seeing you have the happy people that come to buy a new motorcycle, you have the unhappy people when the bikes break down or they've had an accident. No day's the same, as much as you obviously come to the same place every day. You deal with different customers every day. We wanted to keep obviously the family name going, which we're obviously 3rd generations of working here, which 90% of the time we all get on. But working with family, it can be difficult sometimes. But we actually love what we do every day.
How is it working for your dad?
Interesting. Dad's just a big kid in a toy shop.
He seems to me to be like this, just a bank of knowledge, isn't he? It doesn't seem to matter what part of the shop or either. I mean, we're in the Honda dealership now, aren't we? We're in the original building earlier on, but it doesn't seem to matter where you walk with him. He'll pick up a box and he'll tell you, oh, this is this from that, and I've put that from that and there, that and there. It's like, blimey, how do you keep that going? How does he keep that enthusiasm? The
best bit is when he's at the Isle of Man TT and he wants a part and he'll say, walk down this alley, 3 shelves down, put your arm out right, and it's this part number, and he knows exactly. Every time you go to it, he can direct you to each part or a new engine or something that you have to take over or get on the plane for the next day. So he's incredible at that. He can tell you a part number for pretty much every part.
So you've got to get your finger out and do some learning.
I can do certain part numbers, but obviously it is something to learn.
Fair play. So we've got to walk around the Yamaha dealership. Obviously, as we mentioned in the beginning, Padgetts is a multi-franchise dealership, right? So they've got Kawasaki, they've got Honda, they've got Yamaha, they've got all sorts, right? But we're in the Honda garage right now, and I've just noticed this, right? It's a press release from 1985 celebrating 25 years as a motorcycle dealership for Clive's father, the guy who set all this up in the beginning, right? The legacy, the history of these places is just unbelievable, as is Clive's knowledge of absolutely everything that he has in the shops. as I said earlier on, this is a Honda dealership, so you're going to see all sorts of stuff in here. You got Fireblades in here, you got the enduro type bikes, the 300s. There's so much to point out. It's like, how do you walk around? There's a bike there, look, just randomly parked up. Chavi Forres' BSB bike. I mean, go figure. Look up there. Davey Todd's 250. Some other 250s, probably 125s, maybe Moto 3 bikes, some older things, a Honda MT5. When I was a 16-year-old kid, you either had a DT50 or a Honda MT5. That one up there is probably brand spanking new. Cole Fogarty's RC30. There's just so much stuff in here that I don't know what to point out. Right, I found another Padgett family member, Helen.
Hello.
You are a trainee solicitor, or were a trainee solicitor.
Yep.
Jumped ship and ended up coming and working for your dad.
Yes.
I don't understand how he's kept this this motivation and this enthusiasm going, but just looking at you smiling now, I know that you've obviously made the right choice because you seem really happy.
My dad has this ability to transform everything and give it the Clive Padgett, shall we say, sparkle. So as a small kid, 12, 13-year-old, when everybody else said no and we couldn't go testing because bikes weren't ready and stuff like that, he'd come and wake me up. We'd come to work 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd help him finish building engines, and then my mum would come from home. I'd get changed at work into my school uniform, and then I'd go off to school for the day, and they would go to Mallory or wherever it was for the day's testing. That was kind of, I didn't have your average kind of upbringing. So to me, this is just an extra special niceness, if that makes sense. Just a normal way of life. So when stuff goes wrong and there are events and stuff, I am the one that gets those phone calls and say, can you just get me them forks out of that superbike because Connor's not happy with this, and can you find a way of getting him to the Northwest or the Isle of Man and stuff like that. So Scarborough this year, Davey wasn't happy with his front end on his bike, so we lifted that bike down off the shelf and we drove the bike to Scarborough because that's
what you do,
part and parcel of what we do. It's just, I don't know, it's not like coming to work, it's just, I don't know, coming to do something that you love every day, which is kind of what my dad has always said. It's never been a job for him, it's been what he loves to do, and that kind of has rubbed off on me and Fiona as well. We love what we do, it's just what we do.
Honestly, you said enough. It comes across so well, and to be honest with you, talking to you and Fiona was what I wanted to show our viewers. You can see this is a family affair. You two are the next generation, and it's great to see the enthusiasm that your dad has for the business, rubbing off on you two.
Yeah, my daughter now, she filled her homework in of what you want to be when you grow up, because she's just started year 4 at school, so she's 8 years old, and her homework is, I want to work at Padgett's just like Grandad and Mummy do and be happy. That's literally what it said of what she wants to be when she grows up, so it kind of is rubbing off on 4th generation as well. And she went to Scarborough this year and she was made up because my dad paid her £5 for selling some clothing out the back of a transit van.
Is child labour allowed in the Padgetts?
That's kind of been, when can I come to work again and earn some pocket money? I want to sell some clothing for Grandad, which is how both me and Fiona started NEC, BMF, all of those things, from being little kids and just, I don't know, just doing what my granddad, my dad, my grandma, my mum has always done. It's just magic. It is just, yeah, that's all I can say.
Fantastic. You said more than enough. It's amazing. Thank you. Clive, we come to your Honda dealership. The bike you're stood there with is the very bike that inspired this whole episode, to be honest. Seeing you guys win another championship, British Superstock Championship with that bike with Davey, was what made me think this would be such a great episode for us. Obviously, I'm sat on top of a pretty special bike now, RCV 213V from Bruce, from the Isle of Man TT. I'm right in thinking, as I said, this is the Honda part of the dealership, but you guys are the only people in the world now that you can buy a new Honda RCV 213V from, aren't you?
That's absolutely correct, and what an honour. We're so proud and pleased to be awarded that accolade from Honda to invite inquiries for the purchase of a new RC213 VS, and quite incredible. And I think that goes back many years now. My brother first raced a Honda back at the TT in 1984, and then 85, 86, and so on and through. And Honda made Padgetts the very first HRC service shop, Honda Racing Corporation service shop, back in the outside of Japan, that was, out in the whole world, back in 1993. And just a tremendous honour, and to be so well thought of, to be allowed to sell their very flagship product.
It's amazing for me. I mean, I'm looking around, I'm seeing Davey Todd's RS250 there. Obviously, we've got Connor's Fireblade behind us. We've got a whole host of race bikes there. We've got John McGuinness's Macau bike over there, in and amongst the whole of the Honda range. Obviously, their Fireblade there.
Foggy's 1990 championship winning bike across the back there.
Hey,
absolutely.
I'll tell you an interesting story, right? You see that bike at the back there, the NSR 500V? Clive told me earlier on, a little snippet. So Honda make an advert, or make a photograph of all of the new models they're going to do, right? And there's one set of bodywork done for each bike. That was the genuine bodywork from the photo shoot that they sent to you as a gift for being
being the #1 seller, RS seller, and Tanaka-san from HRC Sales sent us that very body kit. And again, it's a one-off, quite something. Yeah, very special.
A bit like the Padgett shop, to be fair.
Well, I think we've got my dad and my Uncle Don and my mum and so on to thank for that, you know. Mum and Dad were working 6 days a week up until COVID. And COVID, I think, generally made older people get older even quicker, unfortunately. But no, very, very proud of the gambles that they took, and the vision and the work ethic, and hopefully that's stepping down through the generations.
Well, it certainly seems to. I've spoken to your two daughters today, and they seem to have that little bit of Clive Padgett magic in them, if you like, and seem very keen to keep it running.
That's a lovely compliment, and thank you, Shane. Yeah.
Right, this has been an absolutely amazing day for me. Never been to Padgetts before, but we've got here, we've met Clive, we've met Helen, we've met Fiona, we've met the rest of the team that make this whole thing work. Multi-franchise dealer, as I said before, you know, we've seen the Yamaha dealership, the Honda, the Kawasaki, the Suzuki, we've seen the race bikes. We've heard Clive's dictionary-like knowledge of anything to do with motorcycling and racing, which has been absolutely incredible. As I said, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Now, if you have enjoyed this channel, or you do enjoy this channel, why not become a Patreon member to get access to early videos and different bits and pieces that we'll put out? Or why not get onto the website and buy some Late Break Show merchandise? Proudly modelled here by myself, front and back, both logoed up. There's lots of different versions. I'm really, really proud to say that the video has been sponsored once again by EBC Brakes, who've looked after all of my Byrne Out episode. This has been episode 7, and I just want to say it's my final video for this year. So I want to wish you all personally a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You've worked with some absolute superstar racers in your time. Any one of those riders that you've had riding for you stand out? I mean, obviously you've gone from everyone to sort of Carl Fogarty right the way through to, you know, Davey, who's just won you another championship this year.
Yeah. The way that we operate as a team, we love them all. And I really do mean that. You know, I think, I just mentioned there, we're still getting Christmas cards and things from guys that rode for us 20 odd years ago.